In this video, I'm going to show you how to store data on a gateway device such as a Raspberry Pi using Windows IoT and SQLite database. Okay, so this is the hardware setup that I have here, where my Raspberry Pi at the back of this display is connected to this DHT11 temperature and humidity sensor. So we're going to be reading the data from that sensor and storing it on a SQLite database. Okay, so I've got this very simple app from a previous video. So what's happening here is that I'm using a timer to read a DHT11 sensor after every 2 seconds and then store the temperature and humidity values in these global variables. So we're going to go ahead and add our SQLite database to this application. So the first thing that we need to do is to add an interface. So we're going to do that by adding a new class library that's going to act as our data access layer. And then you select a .NET Standard class library, and we're going to call it data access layer. Click create. So I'm just going to delete this class here, and then we're going to create a new class on our data access layer. And then we're going to call it data access. Okay, now we need to add the SQLite package to our solution. So you right click your solution and go to manage NuGet packages. We go to browse, and then we install for both projects. Click OK, accept, and then we install the Microsoft.data.SQLite core. Okay, and then we install another package that will let us use the Windows version of SQLite. This one, we install it only for our main project. Okay, so we finished installing all the required packages. Now the next step for us would be to reference the data access layer on our main project so that we can gain access to it from our main project. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go to our data access class to add our code for accessing the SQLite database. And then we add reference to our SQLite package. And then we're also going to be using lists to store our data. Okay, and then we go ahead and add the method for initializing our SQLite database. So basically this code, what it does is it creates a new database called SQLite telemetry, and then checks to see if a table exists called telemetry table. If not, it will create that, and then it will include a column for humidity and temperature. Okay, and then from there we put our method for saving our telemetry data on our SQLite database. So basically what is happening is that this method accepts two arguments, the humidity and temperature. Then it opens a connection to the database, creates a command for storing the humidity and temperature onto our database, and then it uses those arguments as parameters to store into the database. And then finally, let's add the method for retrieving our telemetry data from the SQLite database. Okay, so our method returns a list of telemetry data, and our telemetry data type comprises of the humidity and temperature, and we'll be creating it in a moment. So here we're opening a connection to our SQLite database, we're selecting everything from telemetry table, and then we're looping through every entry on the database and storing it onto our list here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and add our class for our telemetry data type. And then our telemetry data type will comprise of humidity and temperature. So we go back to our data access, and then we must declare our list of type telemetry data. And then here we must make our telemetry data class public. Okay, and then now we go back to our main C# file, and then here we must include reference to our data access layer. And then here, after reading our sensor value, we want to record that data in our SQLite database. So we use our data access class to add the data. Okay, but then now we don't want to start recording right away. We want to have a button that we can click to start recording. So we put this under our if statement. And then we declare our flag for starting to record, and then we initialize it to false. Okay, and then we'll go to our main page.xaml to put the HMI for initiating the recording and viewing our recorded data. And then I'll just copy this. So on this HMI, I've got 3 columns: one with the buttons for starting and viewing the records, another one for temperature data, and another one for humidity data. So I'll go ahead and add an event handler for start recording button click. And then I'll also add an event handler for view records button click. So if the start recording button is clicked, we enable recording. And then when the view records button is clicked, we use our data access to get the data from the SQLite database. We put it into a list, and then we'll populate our temperature and humidity text boxes. So just go ahead and declare this list. Okay, so our app is ready to deploy. Let's check to see if our Raspberry Pi is online. It is. And then let's confirm that we're pointing to the right device here. Okay, and then we can go ahead and deploy. Okay, so our app is running now. So if we go and view record there, you see we've got no records yet because we haven't enabled recording yet. So we go ahead and enable recording, and then if we go and check view records, you see we've got 2 records because we're recording after every 2 seconds. And then we've got all the records coming through now. I would certainly love to hear your thoughts on this video in the comments section below. And please subscribe on YouTube and LinkedIn to get more videos like this.